From high above Pennsylvania Avenue, where the parade is not only formed up, but beginning to move, President Bush and Mrs. Bush at the reviewing stand. You can see the reviewing stand with the flags atop it, just off to the right. That's immediately in front of the White House, looking toward Lafayette Square. Ed Bradley is watching what's going on right now in front of that very fancy reviewing stand, Ed.
Dan, you'll notice that Mrs. Bush is standing there without her coat, as is the president. That's one of the perks of being president and vice president, as the Quayles are, Mr. Quayle's taking off his coat. There are heaters under the table right in front of them where they and the grandchildren are. But you'll notice behind them and the rest of the reviewing stand, you won't see too many people taking their coats off back there because there are no heaters back there. They're seeing the first units start to come by now. These are the U.S. Park Police on the mounted policemen marching by the reviewing stand, trooping the colors into mind.
Well, we got our first view of one of the floats, Ed. We just got a glance of it there, but we'll be seeing a lot of them as this day goes along. The Park Police and, of course, the Chief of Police of Metropolitan Police Department of Washington, D.C., Maurice T. Turner, Jr., is along and moving in front of the President's box just about this time.
This reviewing stand, Dan, is also, it's mentioned with the heat that they have there. They don't have the problem. They tried to do it with solar heat when President Carter was inaugurated, and as you probably remember, it was a bitter cold day, which doesn't mean anything, but what did mean something was that it was cloudy. It was overcast. There wasn't much sunshine, so that solar heat didn't work.
We don't give solar heat, and the idea of solar heat a bad name, but part of the problem was they just rigged it up, actually got it going a few days before the parade, so it didn't really have a chance to get it in good working order. That flag float we saw a moment ago, Ed, I mentioned, we just got a glance of it. It's a replica of the United States flag. Riding on that float are Bob Hope and Chuck Yeager, now General Chuck Yeager, the famous Tusk pilot, who are Grand Marshals of the 1989 inaugural parade. There's the flag float. Bob Hope and Chuck Yeager, the official marshals of the parade.
You know, it's surprising. You would think that, I'm told that this is Bob Hope's first inaugural parade. As much as you connect him with politics through his work in entertaining the soldiers in World War II and the Korean War and in Vietnam, and you often see Bob Hope with whoever the president is. It's amazing that this is his first participation in an inaugural parade.
CBS News correspondent Harry Smith and anchor person of CBS This Morning is right along the parade route. And Harry, this is one long parade.
Well, the parade is really underway, and the crowd has warmed up a lot now that they really have something to see. The president and the vice president have gone by, and some of the units have gone by. And we ran into Margaret Rosengarten earlier today. What time did you get up this morning?
3 o'clock this morning.
And you drove all the way in from Philadelphia?
That's right.
My 11th inaugural.
4 hours to get here.
I've been to every
Have you ever seen an inaugural before?
No, this is my first one.
Did you get a good chance to see the president?
Oh, I most certainly did.
How does this all make you feel?
Oh, that feels me great. Makes up for the bad times we're going through.
Folks down here are pretty happy, Dan.
And indeed they should be, Harry. The parade rolling along. You know, I know you'll agree, Harry, that one of the good things about our country is that we don't give military medals, combat medals, cheaply here. When you win a Medal of Honor, the United States of America, that you've really done something. Kathleen Sullivan is standing by with a reminder. 2 Medal of Honor winners in Freedom Plaza along Pennsylvania Avenue. Kathleen?
Dan, I'm also standing here with the one of the stars of Knight's Landing. Kevin, how are you?
Fine, I'm doing great. What a great honor to be a part of this parade today and the inauguration. Not only that, but sitting amongst Congressional Medal of Honor recipients is one of the thrills of my life.
Well, tonight, actually, you're hosting a dinner for these Medal of Honor recipients?
Yes, I'm the chairman for the National Salute to Hospitalized Veterans for 1989. And the American Legion and Veterans Administration asked me to MC and host the ball tonight for our Congressional Medal of Honor recipients. What a thrill it is for me.
Well, Admiral Stockdale, I understand that you were a POW for 7 years. Is that correct?
Yes, I was. I was in Vietnam in a prison camp from 65 till 73.
How many inaugurations have you come to see?
I've come to see, this is the 4th. I was awarded the medal in '76 after I got out of prison, and I came to Jimmy Carter's inauguration the first. And this is the fourth.
Lou Millette, you kind of go down in history, don't you? I mean, you led the last bayonet charge in South Korea, actually the last bayonet charge in the United States.
That's correct.
What was special? Why did they award you the Medal of Honor?
Pardon?
Why did they award you the Medal of Honor?
Because I led the troop. But I wouldn't be here if 100 men hadn't followed me. You know, I didn't do it by myself. No man does that kind of thing by yourself.
Why? Are you surprised? You actually were in the armed services yourself, weren't you, Kevin?
I was in the Army in '62 to '64 as a military policeman in the Army. And that was when Vietnam broke out and all that. And I was fortunate enough to be one of the members of the military that stayed stateside. But I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that was there and help along with our living memory of our hospitalized veterans who need help and support, love, and volunteerism.
Kevin Dobson, thank you. Gentlemen, have a good time today.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
Dan?
Thanks, Kathleen. Kathleen Sullivan with, among others, winners of the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's an interesting story about the man who led the last United States Army bayonet charge in Korea. Now, this monitor, you can see the flag float passing just in front of the presidential reviewing stand. The flag float with Bob Hope and Chuck Yeager saluting President Bush. At last night's gala, Charles, for my money, Chuck Yeager probably gave the best little talk, saying George Bush and I were both flyers during World War II, both named our airplanes after women we were fond of, and we have in common that we're both still interested in aircraft, and we're still with the women we married. Very nice patriotic speech. And Bob Hope, who always gets off good lines about presidents and the presidency, tends to get them off a little better about Republican presidents because he doesn't make any secret of the fact that he prefers Republican presidents. Now, former Speaker of the House, Tip O Neill, has just joined us in our anchor booth, and we'll try to give him a little equal time to that. But Uncle Sam has appeared between General Yeager and Bob Hope as they pass the reviewing stand. And behind Ed Bradley, the floats get better and better. The Rose Bowl parade, which may be the best parade in America, I guess, but they do it every year. These inaugural parades, the floats have to be, for the most part, built from scratch each inaugural time, once every 4 years.
This float was supposed to have been in the parade. This float, Dan, was supposed to have been in the inaugural parade in 1985, which was canceled because of the cold weather. So it was used as the backdrop in the indoor inaugural festivities that were held at the Capitol Center. Of course, General Yeager, as you know, has a lot in common with President Bush. They met a few years ago at a state dinner at the White House and discovered how much they had in common. Both former pilots, World War II pilots. General Yeager, of course, broke the sound barrier on that X-1 rocket back in 1947, the first man to break the sound barrier. He actively campaigned for President Bush this year. Boy, that is a big float, though, isn't it?
And a nice one. Well, with the wind whipping up and the temperature now down into the high 30s, hovering at 40 or just below that, the weather looks like it's going to hold. And as Uncle Sam strokes his beard, we'll take a closer break.